Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business podcast, where I talk about home-based business, of which I've had one for 23 years, I think. And it's been a long time. So today I want to talk about motivation, staying on task, and kind of distractions. It's a big topic because when you work at home, a lot of people would say, "Oh, that's great. There's not that many distractions," because they're thinking of an office situation where you're at work and there's other people there and they're going to come in and talk to you, and there's just a lot of stuff going. You have to stop for a meeting. That's the one thing I do not miss about working in an environment where you have to have staff meetings and other useless meetings and divisional meetings. It's too many meetings. You can do that with an email. That's my opinion. But it is hard to stay motivated and distraction free, even if you're working at home. Because number one, you gotta have all your stuff around you, and there's always something to look at. And then you're also thinking about, oh, I should be cleaning the bathroom. I should be vacuuming that carpet. It looks dirty. There's always just kind of home maintenance stuff that you notice, and it takes you away from your work. Or just thinking, oh my God, I haven't cleaned my house in so long. And then you feel guilty because you're looking at it all day. Whatever the reason is, distractions are still a thing when you work from home. And sometimes it's worse because there's no one there to motivate you and to keep you on track. When you're your own boss, you are responsible to yourself. And it's very easy to give yourself a pass. Now, I talk about this a lot in my Turtle Wins the Race class, which is the first. I consider it kind of my flagship course. I'm thinking maybe about retiring it soon. I don't know, but I really am reluctant to do that because that's understanding this kind of stuff about yourself is really what is going to set you up for success in a home-based business. And I know this because I've lived it and I had to go through it myself. And once you figure out why you do certain things, that really is going to determine if you're successful or not working for yourself, working at home, working by yourself. And some people are very good at that. And I applaud you because I am very easily distracted by the next idea. It's the shiny object syndrome and that kind of thing. But going through the process of the Turtle Wins the Race class, I pinpointed for myself why that is about me. I am very, very bad at finishing things. I am the person with 20 different, craft projects going, not as much anymore. But now my projects have kind of moved over to internet-based stuff, online things, websites. Love building websites. And I have projects that I haven't told anyone about. So there's a lot of stuff that I have in my head that I should be working on, but I don't have time because there's too much of it. Or like just this morning, I got a really good idea and I went over and registered a new domain name because I got a really good idea. So there's always stuff that I'm thinking, oh, that would be a great idea. I should do that. And it takes away from the time that you have to finish other things. Now, the reason, and I had to think about this. This is the kind of stuff that we go over in the Turtle Wins the Race class. I had to think about why it is about me that I'm very bad at finishing things. And it's not that I get bored with them. It's not that I start things that I don't like because I enjoy doing this stuff, but I'm very bad at finishing things. And I think that it's because I'm a very shy person. I don't like attention given to me. Like one of these people that are bad at taking a compliment in person. And I'm sure that a lot of people feel the same way. So when I was little, I was a talented kid and I was a smart kid, and that brings you attention. Okay. And when you're doing a really good drawing in first grade, people pay attention to you. I did not like that. I enjoyed drawing. I didn't like the attention. So what happened, I think, is that I realized that if I didn't finish that project, I could work on it and enjoy it. It's when you finish it that you get the attention. All right. So I didn't want the attention, so I just stopped finishing things. And it's carried over because there's always something new to start. There's always something new to work on. But I think that I kind of sabotage myself in finishing things because I don't like the attention. And I've gotten over that to a certain extent as an adult because, once you realize this about yourself, you're like, the attention isn't going to kill you. It's not, when people say, oh, you did a great job, you can just say thank you and move on. And that is really, really hard to do for someone who doesn't like the attention. And if that's the kind of way, if you feel that way about yourself, then, and if you're saying, I never finish anything either, think about it. Why don't you finish things? And if it's because you get bored and you move on, that's one thing. But there might be a deeper reason that if you really think about it, then it might not be boredom. It could just be fear of success. And there is such a thing as fear of success. There's a thing of, fear of failure. People talk about that all the time. Fear of success is a very real thing also. And there are things that come with success that you might not like. You might like the success. You might not like the attention or whatever else comes with it. So just think about that. I personally am just bad at finishing things, but I needed to realize that about myself before I can get over that. And sometimes if you're creative, there's too much inspiration, right? So people are like, oh, I need to draw inspiration. You can get inspiration from anywhere. That's the problem. So if you have, number one, completion anxiety, I'm afraid of finishing things. And also, I don't like finishing things because then it's over. And if I enjoyed it, then it's over. I don't like that. But there's also just too many things to pay attention to as far as inspiration goes. And like I said, getting ideas. So as I'm filling orders this morning, I got this idea. I'm like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to go register this domain name. So that takes me away from filling orders. And it's not a big deal for that. But sometimes one project will seem like a really good project, take away from something else. And then you never get anything done just because of the inspiration. So maybe it's too much inspiration and you don't finish things because of that. What you need to do, number one, is try to figure out for yourself, why don't you finish things? Okay. And just understand that there will never be enough time in your life to do everything that you want to do. It's not realistic unless you don't have to work and you're independently wealthy and you can just do whatever you want. But for most creative people, there will never be enough time to do everything that you want to try. And that's okay. Just think of the things that are the most important to you, that you really value the most, and pay attention to that. But part of that is just setting up a system. As we're talking about this in relation to running a home-based business, you need to set up a system that works for you, not someone else's system. Set up a system that works for you to keep you on track. And that could be something like time blocking or bullet journaling, or just, using a timer so that you only work on things for a certain amount of time before you have to finish and go on to something else. There's all kinds of different systems that people use to keep themselves on track. And sometimes it takes going through a bunch of different, trying out different systems before you find one that actually works. But you need to set up a system that works for you in order to keep you motivated and undistracted and keep you on task. People say, oh, turn the internet off. I'm like, I have 3 browsers. I can put halts on one browser, but then there's 2 other ones to use. And everything that we do is online, so that's not realistic. That's a problem. If everything you do is online, you can't stay off the internet. So that is not my system. My system, I finally just went and designed myself a planner. I love a good planner. I love looking at planners, but see, that's another thing. And I've used the term procrastiplanning before, and I did not make that up. I heard that years ago somewhere. Procrastiplanning is a perfect explanation of what this is, that you're planning something, you're making lists, you're writing things down. You feel like you're being motivated, but you're really being distracted because you're not getting anything done. You're just making lists and you're not doing any of them. So distracting yourself by doing things that make you feel like you're accomplishing something is not good. But you do need to figure out a way for yourself to keep on track. For me, it's having paper and pencil, some physical thing in front of me where it's a list of things that I have to do. And then I have to do those first, and then I can mess around and do other stuff. So I went and designed my own planner, and I'll link to it in the description. You can buy it. However, you don't have to, because my planner might not work for you. All you need is really a notebook. Just get a notebook and figure out what system of having reminders in front of you works for you. Some people like the electronic planners. I don't like that so much. It doesn't work for me as well. If you enjoy that, then maybe you can design your own. Or, I mean, there's tons and tons of people who sell electronic planners, and you can get one that works for you and just use that every single year. Get yourself in a routine and follow it. And I've told people in my program, my planner is my boss. Okay, my plan, I am my own boss, but that's not really good. So my planner is my boss, and I have written out everything that I need to do, like recurring events, that kind of stuff. And I have to finish that stuff before I can move on to other things. So the things that are important are in my planner. And then after that, it's whatever I want. But you need to get a system that works for you. And that will help not motivate you, but just keep you on track. Okay. You don't have to feel motivated to pay the bills, but that's something that's in my planner. I have that written down. I have written down to remind myself when to do my bookkeeping. I have written down when I have to do live videos on YouTube, whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily motivate you, but it keeps you on track. Okay. And that's important because when you do get those things done, you don't have it hanging over your head and you don't feel, oh my God, I have so much to do, because that's not a good feeling. The main thing that you need to do is get the mundane, like, bookkeeping stuff out of the way. But every day you need to figure out what is making you money. If you're running a business, you need to make an income. Figure out what your money-making tasks are first and do those first. Get those out of the way, and then you can do whatever else you think might work out down the road, or have a hobby, or go for a walk, but you need to get your money-making activities done first, because that's what is going to keep your business going. So you have to figure out what makes you income and what is just speculation. For me, I'm filling orders every morning, and that's what makes my income. So I fill the orders, and then the rest is just speculation. So yes, I did interrupt my routine today to register a domain name, but you need to register domain names immediately because somebody else might come and take it. So I got that done, and then the rest of the day I kind of do other things. All right. So figure out for yourself, what is it that makes you money? And then after that, you can spend time building something else that's going to make you money and diversify your income a little bit, like I talked about last week. Or you can just do things that you enjoy. And if that happens to be an income producing thing, that's fine. But sometimes you just need to have fun. So it doesn't have to be a money-making thing, but get the things that make your money done first every day. And that will keep your momentum going online. After that, and when I'm saying making money, it doesn't necessarily directly have to bring income in. That could be something like posting on social media. If posting on social media is part of your advertising campaign, and everybody has advertising, whether you pay for it or you're using social media that is free, that's still advertising. So that's marketing, and you have to put that in the makes me money column. So make sure that you're doing your actual things that bring you income, but then also things that could bring you income in the future to maintain the income that is coming in. So that's part of the making money thing. So maybe your morning would look like filling your orders, posting on social media, writing a blog post, whatever you're going to do. Okay. And after that, you can work on other projects because you need to get the money-making things done first if you want to sustain a business. All right. And knowing what is speculation is not as much fun. When you identify the things that are speculation, those are usually the fun things. That's the thing about, and if you hear the thing thumping over here, the cats are chasing squirrels on, they're looking at the squirrels out there. It's noisy. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But anyway, the speculation stuff is the fun stuff. And that's the thing, like I was talking about today, like a new project. I'm going to get that started. So I didn't get it started, but I got the first piece of it. So now I'm going to work on that after I'm done with the money-making activities. This YouTube channel, I do get ad money from it, but I don't look at this as part of my income. It's just kind of an additional revenue stream that I can't count on because you don't know what ad rates are going to be. And I think, people have seen people show, oh, this is how much YouTube paid me. But that doesn't mean they're making that every month because ad rates change. So I don't look at this as part of my money-making activities so much as filling orders. All right. So you have to put things in different categories, figure out what you need to prioritize, and make sure that that's what you actually do. And getting that done keeps you motivated because you're going to keep seeing income coming in. what's really demotivating is putting a lot of work into things that are not going to get you any result in income if it's a business related thing. If it's just a hobby, that's fine. You shouldn't have to earn income from that. Just keep it as a hobby and enjoy it. But if you're working on something for your business, that should be your priority every day, just to keep the finances strong and coming in. All right. Part of this whole thing in staying motivated and distraction free, and you're never going to be distraction free, let's be honest. But you need to understand what your goals are. Okay. Do you want to earn a full-time income? Do you want to earn a part-time income from whatever you're doing? Are you just doing it to recoup your costs? Because a lot of people run what they call hobby businesses, right? And it's really just to recoup the costs. Like, for example, if I was a quilter, I would be selling, well, I am a quilter, but if I was selling quilts, I definitely would not be selling them for the cost of my materials, because I know that there are other people who are actually trying to make a living with that, and I'm not going to undercut them. But there are a lot of people who do sell things for just the cost of their materials because they just want to finance their hobby. All right. So you need to know what your costs are, or what your goals are. You need to know what your goals are as far as income coming in. And once you do that, you can kind of figure out what do you need to do first in the day, what can you let wait, and what is really just a distraction. Because if you have an income goal, that should be your motivation. And those are the things that you need to work on first before you start doing the things that are distractions and are just speculative kind of things, like maybe this will work in the long run. Maybe this is going to be fun. Just know what your goals are. Keep that as your focus as you are going through your schedule and you're going in your planner to see what you're writing down as the things that are important. Because if you know that you have to list 5 new things, if you're a vintage sellers have a different type of, should have a different type of schedule than most people. I very rarely list brand new things in my shop because the things that I have sell consistently and they're kind of evergreen. Vintage sellers, on the other hand, should be listing new things every day because it's a different type of business. So if you know that that's what makes you the money is listing things every day, then you need to do that. And if you know that, if you don't do that, you're not going to make as much money, then that is your money-making goal. You need to list things every day. Just know what you're doing and what result it brings, and that should be your motivation to do that thing first and to not have, a lot of distractions past that. You have to do that before you do other stuff, basically. Okay. The other thing, and let me plug my computer in. The other thing that you need to ask yourself when you get this great idea, and I did this morning when I was thinking about registering this new domain name. Why is this new idea? Because as you're working, you're going to get the distractions. Why is this new idea something that you think might be good? Is it just something that you're like, oh, I'd like to try that? Or is it something that fits into another piece of your business that could be a new source of income, like diversifying your income, like we talked about last week, like I said? Or is it just something that you're like, oh, that seems like fun? All right. So kind of really examine things. Think about it before you start working on that thing. Because a lot of times that's one of the things that we do. And I still do this. It's like, I would love to try that craft. And then you get the equipment and then you're like, I don't really want to try that. But now you have the equipment, you've paid the money for the materials. Oh, well, I would just do something else with it or donate it and take a tax deduction, whatever. But sometimes we feel kind of like we have to do it because we bought the stuff for it. But why, before you go out buy anything, before you register a domain name, you need to think it through. Why do you think this idea is so good? Is it just something that's distracting you from the boring tasks that you have to do and you don't really want to do it, but you'd rather do something that is imaginarily great as opposed to what you know that you have to do? Is it the novelty of it? Because that's like a novelty thing. Is it just the novelty of it and you've never done it before and it would be kind of fun, or you think it might be fun? You might not think it's fun. Are you just tired of the old thing? Are you tired of filling? There are times when I'm tired of filling orders. During my busy season, I get a lot of orders every day and I'm like, ugh. And it tends to be the same thing over and over because of trends and whatever. There are things that, like I've talked about this before in the When Is It Time to Quit podcast a couple weeks ago, when you just are sick of something, but it's bringing you a lot of money and you can't really stop selling it, other things might start looking really good. And that might be just a way to take you away from this boring thing that you're doing, but you really need to think about, why does this new idea seem so good? The boring tasks sometimes are the ones that make you the most money. And if it's part of your business, then you really have to evaluate whether you want to stop doing that or keep doing it or whatever. I talked about that, like I said, a couple weeks ago. But just why is this new thing so attractive right now? And sometimes you'll realize that it's just because you're tired of doing what you're doing right this minute. And that seems like something that would be good to take you away from that. And it's just procrastinating, right? So if you understand that and you can just work on that thing that you're working on for 5 more minutes, just get 5 more minutes in, then a lot of times you'll kind of get over that hump and just finish it off. I will tell you, when I was doing wedding cakes, there were times when I had been on my feet for 14, 15 hours straight decorating cakes. I was physically exhausted. I was mentally exhausted, but that cake had to be finished because I had to deliver it the next day. And there were times when I was like, I can't take this anymore, and I will just get up early. And I went to bed, I got up early and finished it. But it felt a lot better to stay up a little later and push myself to get that done, and then not have it hanging over my head, because you never know what's going to happen. And especially, with cakes and things like that, it has to be perfect, although nothing's perfect, but it has to be the way that customer ordered it, or you're going to hear about it. And if you wait until the last minute, you might not have time to fix a problem. So I was always very, very tempted just to say, I'm going to bed, I'll fix it in the morning. But I knew that that's not the best plan, because if I push through and force myself to finish it, then I knew that it was done. I knew that it was right, and I didn't have to think about it the next morning. So when you're thinking about this new thing that's a distraction, but it might be something great, that's great. Write it down so you don't forget, because I would forget things. Finish what you're doing first and then think about it. Because a lot of times I get the most brilliant ideas and then, write it down and come back in a week. And I think this is part of the thing that we talk about in Turtle Wins the Race with planning, right? Because at the beginning of the year, everybody is ready for new things. I've got all these projects. I'm going to work on this. If you just write everything down and then come back to it in a week, 90% of that, you're going to say, what the heck was I thinking with that? That makes no sense. You're going to cross it off your list. There are a lot of things that we can probably cross off our list that are not going to matter. It's not going to help our business. It's not going to make us any happier when you really get into it. And if you just implement everything the minute that you think about it, you're going to have a lot of things that you don't finish. And it has nothing to do with not wanting the attention. It's just because it was a bad idea to begin with. But things are very exciting when you first think of them. So before you even take any steps to anything, give it some thought, let it percolate a little bit. And if it still seems like a good idea in 3 days, then really start planning it out, thinking about it. But in the meantime, work on the things that are going to make your money and keep your business moving forward. And that's generally the boring stuff, right? Let's be honest. But the boring stuff is basic, fundamental. The shiny squirrel stuff, the shiny object syndrome, is distractions a lot of the time. Just be aware of that and figure out for yourself what kind of things that you do to prevent yourself from being motivated, because you might feel really motivated with the shiny object syndrome. That's not motivation, that's distraction. So leave me any questions and I will talk to you later.